You think your dog is just being picky, but there's something deeper happening that most owners completely miss. Because when a dog suddenly stops eating and starts acting weak, it is rarely a simple behavior change. It is the body signaling that something inside is already under stress, and by the time it becomes obvious, the problem is often not new at all. Most people never realize that loss of appetite in dogs is not the first symptom, it is one of the later signals. And what nobody tells you is that the body doesn't shut down eating randomly. It reprioritizes survival. Digestion is one of the first systems to slow down when something more urgent is happening internally. You might be missing the earliest warning, which is hesitation. That small pause before your dog turns away from food is not nothing. It's the first crack in a system trying to stay balanced. There's one moment that reveals everything about severity, but we'll come back to that later. When appetite drops, weakness usually follows. And this is where most owners misunderstand what is actually happening. Your dog isn't becoming lazy or tired in a normal sense. The body is actively conserving energy because it is not getting enough input or is fighting something internally. Muscle activity slows, responsiveness drops, and what looks like simple fatigue is actually biological rationing. That's not just behavior, that's physiology taking control. And emotionally, this is where it becomes difficult for owners, because the dog may still look somewhat okay, still lift its head, still respond occasionally, creating the illusion that it can wait. But weakness in this context is not optional. It is the result of the system running without proper fuel or stability. Most people don't connect that food refusal directly leads to systemic slowdown. But in reality, the body starts shutting down non-essential functions just to protect core organs. And this is where the situation escalates quietly. If you look closely, you may notice subtle changes like reduced interaction, less interest in surroundings, or unusual stillness. What nobody tells you is that dogs are biologically programmed to hide discomfort, so by the time weakness becomes visible, the internal stress has often already progressed. This is the fear most people ignore. Silence is not stability in animals, it is adaptation. And if the cause continues, the body begins entering a compensation phase, where blood sugar drops, hydration balance gets affected, and energy reserves are used aggressively just to keep basic functions running. This is the point where small issues can become serious quickly. And that moment I mentioned earlier, the one that reveals everything, is when your dog stops responding normally, even to things it always reacts to, like food sounds, your voice, or movement around it. That is not just tiredness anymore. That is the system struggling to maintain normal responsiveness. This isn't just a temporary change in appetite. It is a layered biological signal that something deeper needs attention, and the longer it continues, the narrower the window becomes to identify the real cause before the body shifts from compensation to decline. If this makes you look at these signs differently, then the important thing is not to wait for clearer symptoms, because by that point, clarity often comes late.